Hey everybody! Thank you so much for stopping by the Rustic South today. Today we're going to do a craft that involves the small wooden pallet from Dollar Tree, some metal cookie sheet from Dollar Tree, a heart that I already had in my stash, but you guys could certainly find a heart, I'm sure somewhere probably in your stash, or maybe one at Dollar Tree that also you could use for this. This is just one I pulled out of a stash that I had in my storage. So what I did was I took the heart and I laid it on a piece of the cookie sheet. Now the cookie sheet that I'm using, and be very careful with this stuff because it is super sharp. So be super careful with it. I'm using the one that has the holes in it because I want to be able to see the heart through, the red heart on the back, the wooden one through the metal heart that will be on the front. So I outlined it, I cut it out. Again, I'm showing you, be super careful. Those little teeny pieces can be very sharp. All right, and then what I did was I outlined it to the perfect size, but then I wanted to make it a little smaller because I want to see the edges as well as through the metal heart. So I went and took it and even cut it a little smaller than the original outline. So I did that to mine. Now that's up to you. Totally, you can leave it totally covered, but I took mine and made it a little smaller. So when you do that, then what I do was I take it outside and I spray paint it a combination of black and brown. It's not totally covered in either one of those colors. Then I took cinnamon, sprinkled it on while it was still wet, and after each color, the brown and the black, I sprinkled on cinnamon. And then I took some, what is it, finishing spray, I forget what it's called, like a lacquer. And then I would spray that on after I spray the cinnamon on, and it gives it that, helps it stick, and it gives the cinnamon the look of a wet rust. Wet in places, dry in places. So, and I think, I'm sorry, I don't know the brand that I use, but you can find it at any of the home good, Home Depot, Lowe's, even Walmart carry them. It's like a spray-on top coat. So now I'm going to take my burnt umber paint by Apple Barrel, and I'm going to paint the palette first because I want to make the palette a chippy palette. So, and I want the dark color to come through on the chippy part. So paint your palette brown or whatever color you want. If you're not going to make it chippy, paint it whatever color you want. So I cover the entire thing. Make sure you get in the grooves in between the little slats. And then once the paint is dry, voila, via the hairdryer, I take a candle and I put some wax on it, rub the wax on the brown paint. That way you can take your scraper and scrape off the top coat, which will eventually be white, and the dark will come through. Make sure you get all around the edge with the wax. Any place you want the top coat to come off, right? So around the edge, in the middle a little bit. And yeah, it will leave some wax on there. So just make sure you get any extra wax off of it before you start painting it. You don't want big clumps of wax anywhere. So now we're going to paint the white over the brown and then the wax that we rubbed on. And, you know, the heart that I have, I am not going to paint it. It's red. And it also has like splatter marks on it, which is what the way it came originally when it was bought years ago. First, I wasn't going to cover this as much with the white, but then I decided, well, I'm going to chippy it up, so I need a little more white. So I went over it a little more with the white instead of leaving it like I was originally thinking. See, now you can't even tell that there's brown under there, but you will in a minute. Okay, so make sure that's dry first. You need to make sure that's dry before you go with your scraper, okay? So get out your hair dryer and dry it, or let it set and let it dry. And then use your scraper, your palette knife. I think this is called this. I don't know what it's called. You see I wrote my name on it so that if it disappears, I know it's mine when I see it. So yeah, now you can scrape the white off. So yeah, so if you're going to want more of the dark brown to show through the white, you're going to need to put more wax on it. Or scrape harder than I'm doing. But I feel like I'm scraping pretty hard on it, you know. But that's okay because I want some of the white, the chippy, because we're going to antique it here. So I'm going to get out my trusty distressed oxide and rub it on. You know, the heart's going to cover up, you know, 3/4 of the palette, so you don't have to put it everywhere. But you know, do how you like it. I gotta get in the habit of turning that LED light off. That LED light is so bright, it's not doing justice. To see exactly what I've done to the palette. I was going to put that on there and then I decided it didn't need it. Because I'm going to put that rusty heart on top of it anyway, so it would have just been a waste of time. So now I decided I'm going to make a tag. So I got a piece of cardboard And my tag is going to say Farmhouse. I contemplated between Farmhouse, Hearts. Again, you could put Love, XO on there. The word Vintage, what have you. So I decided to put Farmhouse on mine, and it was just the right size. I know my love for cardboard. I took this before I put it on the project. In the end, I took the top layer, and I ripped some of the paper off the top, which you'll see here in a minute. I'll show you. That's a little too perfect, you know. I don't want perfect. This was a hot mess. I had so many of those things out on the counter, on the table. It was like, oh my gosh, where are... It was a hot mess. I thought I had them all out, but I did not. Usually I try to have it out before I start videotaping. Anyway, so I turned it off, found everything I needed, and started again. So how we have Farmhouse stamped on it. And yeah, you know, even when you use stamps, of course, try not to stamp too hard, because you don't want, try not to get any of the extra ink on there, on anything you're trying to stamp onto. But it came off very easily with a wet wipe. And we're going to grunge it up anyway. So, you know, I don't know why I even, you know, really concern myself with trying to fix that. But anyway, it came off. So here I'm going to start ripping off some of the top layer of the cardboard. So, you know, you guys can use anything to, you know, make a tag, you know, for your projects. I happen to love cardboard. I think it's one of the greatest things there is for crafting. It's so versatile. So yeah, so I put some black around the edges after I rip off some of the top. I'll show you a close-up here in a second. So I thought we'd put it down here in the corner. And I also decided to get out a very mini clothespin to hold it in place. That way, if you want to change out the name tag, you can always change it out, right? You don't. It's not glued. It's not necessarily glued to the piece. Only the little clothespin. Here's the clothespin. Only the clothespin is going to be glued to the little pallet. And I also decided to use this clip. I wanted the rusty heart on top to be a little three-dimensional. I didn't want it to necessarily be flat. So I decided to use that little clip. I got those clips. There's the Farmhouse sign. I got those clips, I believe, on something else that I had made, but I think you can get those clips at Hobby Lobby, I'm sure. If I didn't get them on something, I bought them at Hobby Lobby. And I also do bend that metal heart that's on the top. I do bend it a little bit to give it a little more three-dimension, a little more dimension as well. So, you know, you can always bend it a little to make it stand up a little, or, you know, if you have any little foam pieces that you could use to put underneath there, but I didn't want to do that. One thing, I don't have any. Another thing, I didn't want anybody to see that. And I felt like that was a way to offset it a little bit, was to use a clip. Alright guys, well the video is almost done. Please consider subscribing and share with your friends if you would. And give me a thumbs up if you like the video. And I hope I'll see you in the next one. So here I'm going to take the clip. I'm actually going to screw it into the heart. I wanted to do that instead of glue it. I felt like it was going to stay better. So I screw it in first so I know where the hole is, and then I put the clip back over there. And then it was much easier to hold it and put the screw in at the same time. Before it was not, before I made the hole. So if you have extra hands around, maybe get an extra hand. Otherwise, I would make the hole first. Alright guys, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.